All right, so Lost Settlers Core Rulebook. If you have not seen this, go onto the Facebook page as well, just to clarify some stuff really quickly. Some of these rules have already been posted in little infographics. They are all, and now you can't hear it all. Oh my gosh. They are all on the Facebook page. If you are not on the Facebook page, please go and suss it out. They also have a Discord that you should definitely check out where they post a lot of their information. They have some community parts in there for the different factions as well, where you can post inspiration, your kit ideas, all of that good stuff, and chat with the potential people you'll be camping with and traveling along with. So, Lost Settlers Lab. The setting of this game takes place in an alternate fantasy universe that draws inspiration from the 17 and 1800s in our own world. We acknowledge that this period in history was marked by violence, displacement, and cultural suppression inflicted upon many peoples by technological advanced societies, largely from Europe. These actions were and continue to be wrong, and the consequences of them have had lasting effects on the descendants of those affected. We recognize that the memory and stories of these events may cause hurt and acknowledge the ongoing impact they have had. While we have chosen not to include elements in this game that specifically deal with the displacement of native people from their ancestral lands, we wish to preface this setting with a recognition and acknowledgement of those events. We encourage all players to approach this game with respect and sensitivity towards these issues and to educate themselves about the histories, stories, and traditions of the peoples affected. We acknowledge that this game is written and played in a land of the Wurundjeri people, and we pay our respects to the elders, past and present. So that is something really, really important. From the get-go, this game is being run in a place of care and respect, which we love to see. We absolutely love to see that. All right. Charlie, would you like to take this one?
Before you begin, unless the rules say you can bring something, you cannot bring it. Very simple. If you can't bring a gun, no gun. Obviously, this doesn't include things that you need for your own actual survival, like your tent, your food, and that sort of thing. But for in-game items, there is a limit based on your character with your origins, your history, and different skills you have as to what you can bring. You may bring other things because your character might die, and we highly recommend that you bring extras. But that's the sort of the gist of that.
Exactly. So this game, again, just to preface, this is not your standard Australian LARP. This leans a lot closer to some of our smaller LARPs we've had, especially after the fall. For those who remember after the fall, it was LARP Dark Souls mode for those who will understand that. It was a lot harder. All right. This is a hardcore LARP, as I would personally put it. So it may not be for everyone. So as we go through these rules, just have a think, is this for you? All right.
Definitely a high risk game. Your life is not high and it can't be increased.
Exactly. But we'll get to the HP and all that as we go through. So there are some key terms. Most people will know these terms. So player and character, pretty obvious. Now, patient. A character who is being healed is called a patient for the purpose of the healing rules. That is really important. The healing rules in this game are fantastic. We're going to get to them after. As you can tell, I'm very excited. Origin, the unique culture, history, beliefs your character belongs to. So again, there are the three factions, and you belong to one of said factions with your character. All right. Oh my gosh, the kids are.
We are working.
Alrighty. So
After.
Oh my gosh. Faction, your in-game political group your character belongs to, defined by shared identity and survival efforts. Ancestry, the species or heritage your character comes from. So either human, goblin, dwarf, or elf. Ancestry affects food token requirements, available traits, and social roles within each faction, which that is a really, really big one. Very cool. Oh, Noctis wants to be on stream. Heritage and social class. For the Brox, again, if I butcher any of these words or names, please.
It's not done intentionally.
Feel free to roast me. I accept it.
But so, your social class is very important for some of the backgrounds, for some of the ancestries and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
It doesn't have as big of an impact in one of the groups.
Yep. So Game Master, most LARPers will know this, and most TTRPG words players will know this. Game Master GM, the person who runs the game, facilitates it and whatnot. Token, a physical object representing a source. Their purpose as used as described, so it could be
Food tokens is a
Food
big one
tokens,
because
water tokens,
starvation is something
etc.
that can affect you. So that's a really easy one to think of: food, water tokens, that sort of
Talia, do you want to take over with this one?
thing.
We're just dying of the plague here. We're really getting into the immersive aspect of this.
Yeah. So origins to enhance your game experience and fully immerse yourself. Each origin has its own rulebook. Really important. If you're part of the Ortholands, you only get the Ortholands rulebook. You do not get the rulebook for the other two factions, and vice versa. Which is really good because you've got special things that your people know and your people care about. That it's for the other people to actually get to know you to learn those things, not just out of character. We already know everything. And it's very important that once you get that rulebook, you do not share the contents to people that are outside of your faction.
Exactly.
Because then that just ruins the fun for everybody. So the Ortholands, they are the quintessential black powder Napoleonic era game. You should want to play this dignified, dutiful faction. Think of your big fancy British, your Dutch explorers. You'll have the opportunity to pick from different social classes, such as the settler, a soldier, or a noble. They've all got their different advantages and challenges, which is detailed further into the rulebook. And you can also play as a goblin, if that's something that you would like to do. The Brock tier is the next faction. They are a proud, resilient faction inspired by the Iron Age Celts, Gauls, and Picts of Europe. You'll get to choose from 4 different social heritages in this group, which, again, they've all got their own unique and diverse gameplay experience. You'll never be seen as cruel or cowardly because you'll always have something to uphold and admire. And how do I say that?
This is one of the ones I was worried about.
We're just going to call it the Empire. The Barbori are a daring and adventurous faction inspired by conquistadors, Landsknecht, privateers, merchants. Think of your 1600s Germany, Spain, that sort of vibe. You also get to play as an elf, if that's, who something that really appeals to you. You've got a lot more flexibility. They don't do the social classes thing. They've moved beyond social classes. Yeah, so they're really action, adventure sort of characters in that.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I wonder if you know anything about it. The game does look alright though, eh?
Yes. Also dwarves. Dwarves are in the
Yes, the dwarves are in the Brock tier. Yes.
Completely skipped that.
Who doesn't
I
love a
apologize.
goblin? Look, we all love goblins. So, cultural customs. Each origin in Lost Settlers carries its own rich traditions, social expectations, and ways of interacting with others. These cultural customs shape how characters behave in peace, in conflict, and in ritual. Their presence offers depth, tension, and opportunities for meaningful roleplay, which I think is really, really good. The fact that we have cultural customs that can affect roleplay and each different faction has their own dedicated customs will lead to so many cool moments and some interesting learning from each faction about the others.
I think as well, just as a point from your own character, it gives you a really strong foundation of, all right, I'm from here. These are the things that matter to my people.
Exactly.
Is there something from there that I'm going to decide isn't important for me?
100%.
And that sort of thing.
So customs are not rules, but they are in-character norms that may influence diplomacy, provoke disputes, or earn respect. Knowing engaging with another group's customs or deliberately disregarding them is a powerful way to affect relationships in the game world. Just like in the real world, which I really enjoy when we get to have very grounded LARPs like this. You're encouraged to learn your own faction's customs and to explore others through observation, conversation, and consequence. Customs help make every social interaction matter, and they give weight to actions beyond battle and survival. I think that's very, very cool. I think that's very, very cool. All right. Religion in Lost Settlers shapes how people understand their place in a brutal, uncertain world. It offers answers, identity, and meaning, but also demands loyalty and action. Religions are more than flavor. They are a powerful force in the game that influences characters' decisions, relationships, and even their survival. Each religion includes core expectations, beliefs, and obligations that followers are expected to uphold. Failure to meet these may have real in-game consequences like suffering madness or losing the trust of your peers. That is huge.
Madness is very bad.
Losing the trust of your peers as well. It carries a lot of weight.
Mm.
Rituals of Atonement. These offer a structured, roleplay rich way to seek forgiveness, heal emotional or spiritual wounds, and return to a state of balance. Initiation rites, a ceremony marking entry into a faith, reinforcing a character's beliefs and loyalty to their faction or community. To defect to another origin, your character must convert to their religion during the game. Now, that is a very,
Mm.
very cool aspect
I
of
like
this
that.
game as
I
well.
like that.
If you want to change, like take your character and change them to another faction, you have to really earn your way in and prove to that faction that you belong with them, which is just, oh my god, the roleplay. The roleplay. Funeral rites. I don't know why I said that so positively. Funerals. Shared ways of honoring the dead, mourning together and guiding the soul onward, giving weight to the loss of comrades and reinforcing values of the living.
I think that's really good that they include that sort of a thing, especially because
100%.
like as we'll discuss later, like you have such a low HP,
Mm-hmm.
and healing is actually it's very time intensive and it's very easy to die if you become unwell. So I think actually including something like that is really good, and it's not just sort of a
100%.
oh we could have a funeral. It's like no, there is a way that you honor your dead. I
Yeah,
think is really good to give
it's
people.
amazing. Other rites, unique rituals may exist for protection, celebration, leadership transitions, or spiritual insight.
So your own individual rule book.
Exactly. So there is a lot of really, really cool stuff going on here. So we're now going to dive into the ancestries. Tyler, would you like to take it away with this one?
Well, the default human. I know, very basic, but it's pretty normal. Most people will probably choose to be a human. You can also pick from it being an elf, a dwarf, or a goblin. They're considered minority ancestries within their respective factions, but they've all got their own important roles and characteristics. Elves are considered adventurous and versatile. Dwarves, proficient, wise. Goblins, more skillful and creative. And I do hear they have a hilarious accent associated with all of these.
It's going to be good fun.
And they're all respected. It's not like, oh, they're an elf, they've got pointy ears. It's like, no, they're an elf, they're awesome, they're wise, they can help us. Which I like that they've taken out the sort of the unnecessary racism.
Yeah, it's a big part that's been removed with that, which you see in quite a few LARPs in different fantasy worlds, which I really, really appreciate in this game.
I will say that they are locked to a faction. So if you're an elf, you are locked to that the Empire faction. That sort of a thing. A challenge the players of an alternative ancestry will face is that these ancestries have specific nourishment requirements. So you will have different food requirements if you are an elf, a dwarf, or a goblin. So you've got to think about in your faction, how do we make sure everybody's fed?
So the Basori?
Basori. Okay,
Basori.
Basori. All right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, and you will need proper costuming if you want to take on one of those roles, and they have very specific rules and outlines for how you'll need to dress.
All right. Playing a human means stepping into the role of someone defined not by long tradition or mystical heritage, but by choice, conviction, and adaptability. Among the peoples of Hadria, humans are the most varied ancestry found in every land and within all social ranks, shaped by their environment, their struggles, and the decisions they make. What humans lack in physical distinction and ancestral gifts, they make up for in flexibility and cultural depth. Human characters are not bound by a single past or legacy. They carry the stories of their people in scars, calluses, and convictions. They are the backbone of each settlement, whether as farmers, soldiers, nobles, or radicals. Unlike other ancestries, humans do not possess special abilities tied to tradition. Instead, their strength lies in how they reflect the world around them. A human character might be noble in bearing, hardened by loss, or driven by purpose. Their motivations are their own, and their journeys are written one hard choice at a time. The only unique quality humans do possess is the ability to metabolize food more efficiently than other ancestries, which aided their spread across and dominance of all Hadria. They speak with the accent of their origin, whether the clipped and mannered tones of Orthos, the fierce and lyrical voice of Basori, or the plain and poetic cadence of the Brox. But wherever they come from, humans are seen as the measure of their words' change, its hope, its ambition, and its cost. If you want to play a character who grows with every decision, who rises or falls by their actions, and who reflects the complexities of the world they inhabit, then the human is your blank page. The story you write upon is yours alone, which I think is very, very cool. And the way that was written was hype as hell. Carly, would you like to take the goblins?
The sharp-witted, the survivor, the resourceful, the resilient, and always ready with a grin or a scheme. Goblins are a valued and loyal minority within the Ortholands Kingdom, known for their cunning, adaptability, and ability to turn any situation to their advantage. They are not considered monsters, gremlins, or tricksters from fairy tales. They are survivors. Um, they're very obvious based on their skin tone, which will be a green in nature. It may deepen with age, exposure to the sun, long hours spent underground. There are quick guides to all of the different heritages and everything like that that you can see on the Facebook page as well. They have spent a long time underground doing labor, which has shaped their physique. They will carry a forward-leaning stoop as if they're always about to spring into motion or trouble. Limbs wiry and compact, built for scrambling through narrow shafts or slipping unseen through crowds. They speak with a lively, rapid-fire cadence and a distinctive accent reminiscent of Cockney.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. They will see the world differently, where others will follow a rigid path, they will shape their own. They're known for finding unexpected solutions, pivoting where others would falter, and always managing to land on their feet like they're a cat. Sometimes with a laugh, sometimes a trick, and sometimes with a perfectly timed change of plan. They will thrive on improvisation, mischief, and clever decision making, whether navigating the shifting politics of camp, sidestepping authority with charm, or twisting misfortune into opportunity. A goblin brings life to any story. Playing a goblin is ideal for people who like humor, adaptability, and a little controlled chaos. If you like the idea of choosing your own fate and being the wild card, goblin is for you.
That sounds so much fun. Now, one of my personal fantasy loves are dwarves. They were my first miniature army in that. It was good fun. I love a good dwarf. So playing a dwarf means stepping into the role of a grounded, proud, and enduring force within the Brox. As one of the respected ancient people, dwarves are trusted for their strength, wisdom, and unshakable sense of purpose. Whether working the earth, forging tools of survival, or standing firm in battle, dwarves bring focus, skill, and reputation for finishing what they begin. Dwarves of Hadria are a people shaped not by minds of gold and grandeur, but by earth, pressure, and time. Their appearance is a testament to generations spent close to stone, enduring hard labor, long winters, and deeper truths that lie beneath the soil. A dwarf's skin is most often a mottled grey, as though dusted with ash of worn or worn by wind. I can't read at the moment, guys. Their complexion is usually a pale granite, sometimes flecked with hues of iron red, copper green, or soft limestone white. Though these tones are not simply cosmetic, they evoke geological heritage of their kin, shaped by the land itself. What most distinguishes them, however, are the physical formations that mark their bodies. Across their limbs, shoulders, forehead, or knuckles, they grow small nodules or ridges of mineral and rock protrusions, veins of crystals, or hardened patches that shimmer like mica or glint like quartz. Under firelight. These are not decorative, but deeply cultural. Some dwarves polish or carve them to reflect their clan, while others let them grow wild and jagged as signs of age or accomplishment. Their stature is compact and powerful, often broader than their human counterparts, with a gait that reflects both stability and weight. Every step deliberate, every movement rooted. Beards are common and respected, but not a defining feature. Hair and beard may be adorned with stone beads, hammered metal rings, or fragments of shaped rock, all of which reflect lineage, labor, or belief. Unlike traditional depictions, Hadrian dwarves are not caricatures of stubborn miners or loud drinkers. They are survivors of cultural collapse, stewards of old knowledge, and mentors of the Brox. Their visible connections to the earth is not merely aesthetic, it reflects their philosophy that the world must be built upon, not just dug from. A dwarf is known by height or beard, is not known by height or beard alone, but by the scars in their stone, the weight of their gaze, and their quiet endurance of those who remember every season carved into the bones of the land. Dwarves speak with a proud accent reminiscent of French in our world, a nod to their distinct history and homeland. They approach the world with clarity, carrying the knowledge of their past and resolve to act with precision. Dwarves walk their own path with stubborn pride, whether choosing their own course through personal challenges, shaking off injury with a scoff and a shrug, or always carrying just the right tool for the task. Dwarves are steady, self assured, and quietly vital. If you want to play a character who shapes the world with their hands and keeps their word like it's carved in stone, then the dwarf is your calling. Alrighty. Elf.
For
Pick your
some
one.
reason in my head, it was the elf who spoke French. I don't know why.
Dunno.
So choosing to play an elf in the Bathory, as we had clarified, faction means stepping into the quiet confidence of a long-lived people, wise, composed, and endlessly adaptable. Elves are seekers of knowledge and beauty, respected for their calm insight and their ability to master new challenges with elegant precision. Whether pursuing an understanding of language, culture, or craft, elves bring a thoughtful presence to every task. They are not ethereal beings made of myth or of lofty perfection. They are the living memory of a world that was, shaped by time, nature, and the vast slow current of history. Their appearance speaks not only of beauty, but of rootedness, of age worn with dignity, and of the quiet resilience found in old forests, sunlit shores, and forgotten glades. Their skin will carry a golden or a coppered glow, often described as sun warmed bronze or honey dark amber. In certain light, it may shimmer faintly, as if dusted with pollen or dew. This luminescence is not supernatural, it's a hallmark of a long life lived in tune with the seasons and the world's rhythms. Their features are fine and sharp, high cheekbones, pointed ears, and eyes that seem to reflect not just light but memory. Their gaze carries the stillness of someone who has lived too long to be surprised. I'm sure you've been able to tell from the past few things that goblins green, dwarves that grey sort of color, and then with elves you've got that nice golden bronzy sort of coloring in that, and that's something that's really important if you want to play those characters. Um, and then something else that elves will need to do is they might have small green shoots from behind the ear, moss might cling to their shoulders, or they braid it through their hair. Algae, barnacle-like shells might form around their joints or the ribs for those who've spent decades by brackish shores. So they really have become one with nature. It is not really separate. It is a deep, deep part of them. And they will wear their heritage with a quiet pride. Their clothing often complements their organic adornment, draped fabrics in natural hues, accents of bone, bark, and reef tone. They rarely decorate for vanity, but rather in tribute to the things that they've seen and places that they've known. Their posture is upright but unhurried, and their voice is measured, with, with accents that echo the ancient tones of Greek or Slavic, giving weight and rhythm to their words. So, as an elf, your centuries long lifespan offers a broader view of the world and a patient resilience in the face of hardship. You're the bridge between cultures, curious about the customs and ways of others, and you carry with you a refinement and mystery of an older world. Elves will travel light but bring heavy insight, choosing their actions carefully and always seeming to know more than they say. So, what that tells me is that while you may not be able to bring as much gear as somebody else, you'll be given more knowledge, which could be something that helps, it win
100%.
win the day. In times of need, elves will endure longer, hunger less than others, and learn faster than they're given credit for. Whether called to diplomacy, survival, or knowledge, an elf does not shout their worth, they prove it. If you're drawn to a character who's versatile, refined, and quietly powerful, who changes with the seasons but never forgets their roots, the elf may be your perfect path.
I like the distinction between them all. I think it's
Yeah,
very, very
yeah,
cool.
and I like how distinctly different they are from each other as well. Where I think that's really good, and I love
100%.
this. I love this. You will get a secret motivation that's just for you. That's just for you,
Mhm.
which I think is so cool because then everyone will get something different as well. Like it might be similar. I don't know what they are, But I love the idea that you'll get
100%.
something that's just for you that you need to do.
Your own little mission.
Mm.
So, secret motivations. At the start of a game, each character is randomly assigned a secret motivation from a pool specific to their social status, heritage, and origin. These motivations require the character to take concrete actions that can be observed by other players. However, it is important that characters do not explicitly announce their motivations or actions related to them during the game. Instead, characters must justify their actions in the context of the game world. So again, that's really reinforcing roleplay as well as not metagaming.
Mm.
Metagaming is a problem that a lot of LARPs face, and this is a way you can sort of remove the odds of metagaming through pure roleplay, which I really appreciate. So, completing motivations. Completing your motivation will be a serious and impactful in character event. It is not merely a checkbox. Your GM expects you to take this task sincerely if you choose to complete it. The GM will not be impressed by a player finding a loophole or technically allowing them to complete their motivation easily and or without consequence, and may choose to not reward such behavior.
Well, that tells us it's not going to be easy. It's not going to
Exactly.
be a simple motivation. It will potentially blow back on you when you try to complete it.
100%. Completing your motivation is not an analog for winning the game, or failing to is not losing. In fact, the right circumstances or opportunity to complete your motivation may never present itself. At game end, GMs will assess what motivations have been achieved, either with direct conversation with you or ideally because completing the motivation was observed. If the GM did not witness the completion of your motivation, the GM will ask which other players witnessed its completion to confirm. Each origin has their own mechanism for allowing characters to gain new skills, but for all, completing your motivation is a prerequisite to gaining a new skill. While
Mm.
there is a potential benefit to your character gaining another skill by completing your motivation, it may be worth considering if the consequences or effort involved are worth the outcome. That's a really good little
Mm.
bit there, and leads into some hype for like, what could these motivations be?
Yeah.
How hard could they be? Are they potentially going to put you against your own faction? I'm really, really intrigued by that.
Are some of the consequences maybe outlined on your secret motivation as well? So you go, I really want a new skill, but if I actually complete this, I'm going to absolutely decimate my faction. Like, I don't know, just throwing it out there, it might be a case where I do my motivation, but the consequence is that we lose half our food tokens. So then everyone
It's
starts starving,
It's
like
going to be
that
very
could be
interesting.
something.
Now, this is one of Talia's favorite mechanics right here. Take it away.
Madness. Events in game may cause a player to suffer the effects of madness, which players will receive in the form of a card. GMs may give additional madness effects to characters or swap them out over time until conditions for madness to be lifted are met. Madness cards will contain roleplay prompts that involve themes of insanity and trauma, such as hallucinations, paranoia, delusions, or irrational behavior. These themes may be upsetting or triggering for some players who have personal histories or conditions related to mental health issues. If you do not wish to perform that given roleplay prompt, just let your GM know. Like, they're not going to force you to do something that will make you deeply physically uncomfortable in reality. Um, yeah, and they'll give you an alternative. Your comfort and safety is what is important to us, and we respect that choice.
Which is really important.
A hundred
Really,
percent,
really
a hundred
important.
percent. Starvation. A key part of survival is managing the ever lingering presence of hunger. Like, think about it. If you've just shipped off to a new country, it's the 1700s. You're not going to have farms at the ready. You're not going to have heaps of stockpiles. You're going to have what you brought with you, and maybe a little bit off the land.
Exactly.
So you've got to make sure that you're fed, and if you don't want to be mean to your faction, that your faction's fed. So, like, you might have 5 food tokens, but you realize, oh, something's gone terribly wrong. These 3 people don't have anything. I'm
Hmm.
going to help them. I'm going to make sure that we're all fed. Everyone stays strong. Because if it falls too low, you can become desperate. You can become stressed out, and you can just straight up die.
That tends to happen when you start, I will say. So cycles. Each day is split into 3 cycles. Morning cycle, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Afternoon cycle, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Evening cycle, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And 3 designated in-camp times, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., 3 to 4, and 7 to 8. So Saturday, commence game at 11. Afternoon, 3 p.m. break till 4. Evening, 7 p.m. till 8. Sunday would be 11 till 12, so on, so on. In-camp times. All players must return to their camps at designated in-camp times and remain in camp for the duration specified for that in-camp time. This is important both as in-camp times will be opportunities for significant in-character events, but also so that field GMs and volunteers have time without players exploring to adjust features of the game world in response to player actions. Characters caught outside the camp during these designated times will face consequences. GMs will be sensitive to ongoing inter-group interactions close to these designated times and may slightly delay the in-camp time if necessary. For example, if a key negotiation or an ongoing combat are occurring, a short delay may be allowed.
Yeah, I think it's really important that they've specified there are times that you must be in a camp. It doesn't have
100%.
to necessarily be your camp. I think that's important to mention as well.
Yes.
Like you might be in the Ortholand camp, but you're from Bathori. So it's just that you have to be in a camp. Because I'm sure we've all participated in games where there have been particular groups or certain people where they go out and they're like, I see all the resources, they're all mine.
Mhm.
This will help stop that because now more people who are not, say, really early birds or up late will have more opportunity to go out and actually get the resources. So
That is very true,
so it makes
Toby.
it a bit of a fairy game.
Yeah, also good to
And
make sure
yes,
players eat real food as
100%.
well, which is very, very important. I know personally as a warband leader of over 10 years,
Yeah.
yes, we never eat.
and they've made the breaks that very normal times that you would want to go and you'd have a break and you would want to have
Exactly.
something to eat and everything like that, which I think is really good.
So, food contribution. At designated in-camp times, food contributed to your food storage will be tallied to determine if there is enough to go around. Nobody is expected to go without food out of character, of course. Food sufficiency requirement, 1 food token per 2 humans in camp, and 1 food token per each goblin, dwarf, or elf in camp. Food tokens used to feed the camp are discarded from storage. If there are not enough food tokens in camp, starvation is declared. Food tokens must be placed in the camp storage before the in-camp period commences for them to count towards feeding the camp occupants. Excess food can only be stored if there are sufficient salt tokens. Up to 3 food tokens can be preserved per salt token discarded. Stored food may be kept for any end of game requirement or used as future in-camp times.
And now we did have something told to us as well, which is really important. So let's just say you're in camp, you know there's not enough food tokens for everyone, but you don't want to suffer starvation.
Mhm.
After they do everything, you go up to the GM and you're like, I'm not getting affected by starvation. I've got a food token. And you hand that over. If you're, let's just say you're a human, it's not as effective. So normally 1 food token, you could help 2 people. But if you've hid it from everyone and you're like, no, I just don't want to do it, that 1 food token can only help you. So it's half as
Exactly.
effective.
Exactly. And yes, GMs at Lost Settlers are machines. They just need to be refueled. That is canon. You heard it here first. Withholding food tokens, as Talia just mentioned, after a starvation is declared, individual players may declare to a GM that they have secretly fed themselves. To do so, a human player must show 1 food token to a GM. They have not contributed to the communal storage. A goblin, dwarf, or elf character must show 2 food tokens to be exempt from starvation. The player is exempt from all starvation effects until the next in-camp time. Any remaining unused or unpreserved food tokens must be discarded. Food cannot be withheld from the storehouse beyond the set in-camp time and must be surrendered to a GM, which is pretty cool. I like this. Starvation progression. Starvation is a camp-wide condition that increases when food shortfalls occur at in-camp times. The level of starvation increases based on the severity of the shortfall. The more severe the food shortage, the faster the level increases. Getting enough or more than enough food will decrease the level of starvation. Now, really quickly as well, on topic of the previous section there, if everyone's starving and suffering from this, but there's someone in your camp who isn't suffering from this,
I'd have some questions.
that could lead to some very cool roleplay moments, don't you think?
Some fisticuffs.
All right. So, food requirement met, 150% or more, decreased starvation 3 levels, 125 to 149, decreased by 2, 100 124, decreased by 1, 75 to 99, increased starvation 1, so on, so on. If you have 0, increased starvation 4 levels.
Which will put you at incapacitated, where you will get 2 injury cards instead of 1, which is very bad.
Very, very bad. So, starvation levels and consequences. Starvation is tracked from level 0 to level 5, with effects being cumulative. All players in the group are affected unless they have privately fed themselves. So level 0, no starvation, no effect. Level 1, speak of the hunger. Affected characters must mention food or their hunger at least once per scene or conversation.
I remember when we had food. That was a nice time.
Level 2, fraying minds. Each affected character receives 1 madness card. Level 3, weakened flesh. Each character loses 1 HP. Their weakened bodies break more easily.
Oh, that's bad. That's
insane.
bad.
That's rough.
I don't know.
We'll get to that soon when you learn about how much HP every character has. Oh my lord. Level 4, injury compounded. An affected character who becomes incapacitated must draw 2 injury cards instead of 1. Oh my god. Level 5, the Hunger Line. The faction has reached the point of collapse. There is not enough food to sustain everyone. Each affected character must now face the Hunger Line. At the in-camp time, level 5 starvation is reached. The faction must publicly decide who among them will be fed and who will begin to starve to death. That is brutal. Those who are fed only suffer effects up to starvation level 4. The faction must choose based on the amount of food available who will eat and who will starve. 1 food token feeds 2 humans or 1 goblin, dwarf, or elf. That's intense.
That's brutal. And then starving to death.
Yep.
You only get 1 skill to use. You can't use anything else. You can't run. You can slow walk. You can speak, move, and roleplay, but you look like the Walking Dead from the sounds of this. And it does not decrease.
Insane.
Oh no.
Everyone on the Hunger Line dies, either collapsing from starvation or being removed from the group in a ritual, exile, or mercy killing. I'm so excited.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Hype.
And then after they die, the GM might be like, hey, guess what? You killed off those 4 people and you're like totally fine now. Like, you're fine. Like, no one's starving anymore.
Faction in a severe state of starvation at the end of the game will have ramifications for the next game, which I also really
I like the carryover effects. Yeah, that's good.
So, resources, food. There are 4 streams of food extraction. Fishing, farming, trapping, and another that may come up under the right circumstances. I have theories. I have theories on that.
I really hope it's not cannibalism.
Farming. Farming is a practical, strategic way to produce food tokens, but it requires care, labor, and planning. Characters with farming equipment can establish plots, select crops, and tend to them according to environmental conditions. Food is not freely given. It must be earned through effort and understanding of the land. Establishing a farm. To begin farming, the players must use the plot stakes to mark a section of land. Each farmer may only use stakes with others from their own faction. A farm plot must meet the following criteria: be within 50 paces or meters of a soil marker, a bucket filled with colored or textured soil. No other farm may be within 50 paces of that same soil marker. Be enclosed with a minimum of 4 stakes, with each stake within 10 paces of of at least 2 others. After each successful harvest, the area around the soil marker must lie fallow for 1 cycle before it can be replanted.
Yeah.
A bucket may contain more than 1 color or texture, meaning some sites may be contested between 2 factions.
That's interesting. Cool. I like that. And I like that you get to choose different crops as well.
Exactly. Once farm is marked, the farmers must decide which crop to grow from among the 3 crop types available for their faction. Faction storehouses will contain seed bags of each different crop, which will contain rope only to be used to denote plant rows and specifically colored strips of fabric representing seedlings. To plant the rope must be laid out on the farm according to the plant specifications and the seedlings tied to the appropriate intervals. 5 seedlings may be planted per 2 plot stakes. Seeds are limited. To produce new seeds, a food token made from a given crop can be expended to produce new seeds with assistance from your GM.
All right, so we've got more things that we need to think about with our food. Okay, do we have enough food? Do we have enough seeds?
Exactly.
If we've got people who are heavy into farming, we've got to think about, okay, how much do we hold back from the food? We might get a little bit hungry, but we're guaranteeing that we're fed next time. And I like how you've got to pay attention to sunlight cycle. Do these want to be in the morning? Do they want to be midday? Do they want to be at evening? These are all different things that you'll need to think about if you're going as a farmer. because you can't be everything in this game. I think that's incredibly important to state. You cannot do everything. You are not a jack of all trades. You are a master of one or two.
Or learning to be a
Or
master.
learning. Yeah.
Each crop has unique growing requirements that affect its success. These include soil compatibility. Each soil marker bucket represents a patch of land with specific color and texture qualities that suit some crops better than others. Sunlight cycle, full
Which I
shade
just
crops,
explained.
mature best in the morning, full sun crops mature best at midday, partial sun crops mature best in the evening. I think it's very, very cool.
Yeah. I like that they've got, you've got all your different things of this is where it'll grow better.
hmm
And then harvesting, the GMs will assess the farms. Another reason why you've got to be in camp, because then the GMs will actually they'll go, yep, you know what? You guys did really well. Here you go. Here's some food tokens. No, you get it. We're very bad. You get nothing.
So, destroying a farm. Players may destroy a farm, presumably of another faction, to plant their own crops, or out of spite by removing the plot stakes and pulling up the rope with seedlings tied. As destructive as your roleplay this process to be. Leave the props in a neat pile beside the soil marker for owner players to collect, and do not damage any props, which I think is really, really good as well. Looking after props is a vital part of LARP.
Yes.
So, players with trapping equipment create traps to catch animals and produce food tokens. To create a trap, they need to use a harmless prop with a string and a flag on it, which will be given to the trapper at the start of the game. When placed, the trap and string marker will generate food if it's within 10 paces of tracks of an animal suitable to the faction's trapping method. The amount of food tokens generated by a trap depends on the type of animal caught and how well it matches the trapping style of the group. Each group has a different trapping style that works best on different animals. Hunting grounds are represented by a length of fabric with animal footprints printed on it, pinned to the ground in appropriate places in the game world. The trapper will be informed of what attributes of animal to track work best with their trapping method. Trappers may have less luck trapping in areas marked that do not suit their trapping method. Competitive trapping. If more than one trap is present and properly set up at the tracks, only the trap most suited for local prey will yield food. However, the more traps have been set up, the more scent and presence of humanoid activity will be in the area, which could ward off potential prey.
So you could put your trap down purely just to mess with the other people, because you're like, you know what? No, you're not going to get food. We're gonna ruin your chances.
Exactly. Players may disassemble, render inactive traps belonging to other players by rolling up the string and flag representing the faction the trap belongs to and obscuring it underneath said trap. Again, don't steal traps, don't steal props, don't break props.
Yeah.
Right.
Fishing, a hands-on method of gathering food using simple equipment and designated in-game water areas. Food tokens in these areas are physical objects with one or more loops attached. Each player with fishing equipment will begin the game with a hook and line, which can be used to retrieve the food tokens from the water. They are marked clearly with blue rope or other in-world signage, and they represent ponds, rivers, or other fishing zones. This could be quite funny to watch.
I'm very keen to see it.
Fishing tokens may only be collected using the hook and line provided with fishing gear and objects found within the game world. Fishing spots are a limited resource. Once the fish have been removed, that's it. They're done. They're gone. You cannot physically enter the water area. Reaching inside the rope boundary or stepping into the marked area is prohibited. Players caught entering the water area will be removed from the game. That's a fairness thing.
Yeah.
It's also a safety thing. Like, we don't want anybody to trip, fall, hit the head.
100%. 100%.
Precious metals and salt can be mined. Players with mining equipment are given their mining equipment at the start of the game. So they'll get a small wooden chisel. To accompany the chisel, players with a mining skill must bring a suitable mallet. Okay, that's important. That's a prop you need to bring. Quarry and mine sites in the game area contain boards with sturdy but breakable barriers which contain ore veins. Inside these structures are the tokens representing precious metals and salt. You can only use the equipment given, so your chisel, your mallet, to break them open. And these are an approved thing to break open.
Which I think that's very cool. But we're about to get into the spot that most people want to see. All right, combat.
I think let's just skip ahead slightly to hit points. You've got 2 hit points. So that starvation level, that brings you down to 1. That's really bad. Like, that's dropping you down. You're at half health. You like one hit, and you're out. You're out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so combat in Lost Settlers is fast paced, dramatic, and highly theatrical. It is not a sport, but a storytelling tool, a chance to show courage, desperation, or brutality through movement and action. Players are expected to fight with control, clarity, and intention, prioritizing the narrative and safety over winning. Strikes should be clean and visible, not rushed or overwhelming. Deaths are impactful, and every injury tells part of your story. Fight to impress, not just defeat.
Like, let's think about it. You're in the movie. You're on Broadway. You're on the stage. Everyone's watching. You want to make this look good. Not just,
Exactly. We're LARP fighting, we're not being HEMA nerds. Simple as that. Combat etiquette. To ensure combat remains safe, theatrical, and enjoyable for all, players are expected to adhere to the following rules. Pull your blows. All strikes must be controlled and delivered with safe, measured force. No headshots or groin strikes, and avoid hitting players in the breasts. If you don't have them, you might not know how much it hurts for them to be hit. Clarity over speed. Make your strikes readable and theatrical. Flailing or rapid fire hits are discouraged. Stay in character. React to hits with emotion and intent. Pain, panic, rage. Use them to build your story. Respect injuries. If someone is down, do not continue to strike them. Call your own injuries. Honor and self-regulation make the system work. Safety comes first. If anything feels unsafe or unclear, step back and resolve it calmly. All right. Weapon damage. Now, this bit is very, very cool, especially in conjunction with the shields mechanic. So, black powder weapons, band guns, 2 HP, can incapacitate in one shot. Bands must strike the arms, legs, or torso. Melee and bows do 1 HP. Melee strikes must come from behind or beside the user's body to count. Hits must land on arms, legs, or torso. Now, keep that in mind.
there is some more to talk
Shields.
about.
Okay. A strike that hits a shield reduces incoming damage by 1, meaning melee attacks are completely blocked. However, black powder attacks cause 1 HP of damage. Damage is applied regardless whether the trajectory of the band round would be impacted or would have impacted the player's body. So if it comes from behind and hits your shield, it still counts. But what that's saying is that black powder weapons penetrate shields, which is very, very cool. And I appreciate that. Shields aren't an be-all and end-all of defense.
Yeah. And important to note about your hit points is that when you go to 0, you're not dead immediately. You are incapacitated. You've got to sit or lie down. So it might mean that you have to just move away from the fight dramatically, like, oh God, and then sit where it's safe to do so.
Hmm.
You can't move by yourself, fight, or use any of your skills. And if you are not healed, you will die. So a GM will give you an injury card, which we will go over in a little bit more detail soon. The actions on that injury card have to happen for you to not die. You can only heal with healing from a healer.
Mm-hmm.
And all healing is surgical.
All right. I'll let you take the healing section away.
So you will be given a random injury card. Could you bring up one of the injury cards?
Yep. So we have an example here. Check this out.
So you'll be given a card like this. So the front will say injury. The back will have, in this case, bandage, stitch, salve, bandage. After each action, you actually have to wait a minute. And thankfully, the GMs are going to be very kind, and there's going to be sand time is given to everybody. So if you want to bandage somebody up, that takes a minute. Stitch, 2 minutes. Using the herbal poultice or the salve, 3 minutes. So healing is time intensive.
Mm-hmm.
It is resource intensive. If you want to bandage someone, you need a bandage. You want to stitch somebody up, then you need thread. You want to use the herbal poultice, you need a herbal poultice. So you could have a lot of people who are injured, and it might end up being the case where it's like, you know what? You are too damaged. We do not have enough resources to actually heal you, and we have to let you die.
Exactly. And that is someone dying on the surgical table in a
Yeah.
LARP. Oh,
Yeah. And like
The drama.
I would expect to hear, we need more bandages. We need this. I expect to hear that sort of, thing
Frantic
coming.
roleplay.
Frantic, like we've got to do it. And I know that there are some people who do not like to be physically touched by people that they don't know, strangers, that sort of a thing. It's the important thing is that the time is taken. So if that means that you're wrapping the bandage around yourself, or the healer is just wrapping it around their arm, or that sort of thing, it's you're doing the actions and you're spending the time in a way that makes everybody comfortable. Because I know that some people get really like,
Yeah,
I don't
and
want,
that's more than
which is
valid.
totally fair. So I made sure to have that point clarified because I know that I've experienced people in the past who are like, I don't want anyone to touch me, and I totally respect that. Um, yeah. So once we do the action, then you have to rest, and you have to follow the treatment order. So we have to, in that example, we got to do the bandage first, then stitch, then stitch. So what you could be doing is while you're bandaging, you know that, oh, we've run out of salve. We need someone to go and run and get that. You've got time to get some of those resources to you where you are. Multiple surgeons can complete the treatment as long as they follow the card's order. So you could be doing things at the same sort of time. When all of the listed steps are completed, the patient must return that injury card to the surgeon and the used healing materials to a GM before they resume their normal duties. Waiting for a GM is treated as additional recovery time.
Mhm.
And there may be times where you're not seen quick enough. So the GM's just going to stand there and just start tossing more injury cards on you and more injury cards on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the maximum amount of injury cards you can get is 5. But at that point, most people might just let you die. Unless you are very important. But something that is very, very cool, if you have specialist surgeon equipment, you can have potions, medicine. We're skipping something. It's like, I know, we don't have any bandages left. Guess what? Have a drink. You're going to have the magical elixir and it'll help.
But before we jump straight into that one, so
I mean,
in
that
this game,
sums it up. You can see more information in the rule book.
you can also amputate.
We'll get to that, don't worry.
So, armor does not affect your HP.
In the traditional sense where you go up, I'm wearing armor, I'm now on 5 HP.
Okay.
What it does is it helps with your injury card.
Exactly. So, no armor, you complete all the actions on the injury card.
So you got to do all 5.
All right. Leather or soft steel, skip the last action on each card. Steel armor, skip the last 2 actions on each card.
Yeah.
Really, really good, but it also keeps everyone on an equal, even playing ground when it comes to combat, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a bit just here.
So if you've got specialist surgeon's equipment, you can choose to amputate somebody's limb. So this would be someone who they are going to die if you don't do something. This is the only thing that you can do left. So what you do, you take a medicine, you take a bandage, and you perform an amputation. That takes 5 minutes. And the character can only ever have this happen once. And it's basically the Hail Mary. It will. So let's just say you've got someone with 5 of the cards. You do an amputation, done. They're all done. You don't have to spend all of the ingredients. You have now saved them, but they have a permanent injury that will affect them for the rest of the game. They must always have something that shows that they have had an amputation. So let's just say my right arm. I cannot use my right arm for anything in game whatsoever anymore.
That's a huge thing to happen, and
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I really appreciate about this game as well.
Yeah.
It adds to the realism, the grounded nature of it, and it's just the role play that can come from that is going to be insane. I'm yeah, as you can tell, I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's very expensive to replenish the surgeon's equipment as well. You need food, you need salt, you need precious metal. So, like getting that specialist equipment, it's also going to mean that you're going to have to rely on other people potentially. You need to give me food, you need to give me salt, you need to give me precious metal so that I can heal people better.
Exactly.
And there are specific requirements now for armor in what must be covered for it to count.
So, armor. When a character takes an armor skill, the armor they take must cover the front of their torso, chest and abdomen, and at least one of the following: their back, upper and lower, both arms, forearm and lower arm, both legs, thigh and lower leg, one arm and one leg, or their head, i.e. a helmet.
So you've got to have your front covered.
Right, at a minimum.
And then however you want to make your armor look is up to you.
Exactly. If a synthetic analog of an armor type is used, e.g., Warbler, you must cover at least two of the additional areas listed instead of just one. While the minimum armor, as described above, is not worn, the armor skill grants no benefit. Leather, soft steel armor can be a combination of or entirely leather, bronze, non-overlapping lamellar plates, or chainmail armor. All right, which I think is very, very cool that there is the option to use these other ones. All right. Hardened steel armor must be solid steel, such as steel cuirass, which joins for flexibility, or overlapping plates, such as lamellar. Armor must be visibly designed as protective equipment. For example, a leather tricorn is not considered a suitable leather helmet, nor does a concealed steel cap beneath a broad brimmed hat qualify as steel armor. Your armor must be functional, clearly recognizable to opponents during battle, and in design consistent with your origins culture, which I think is very, very cool. We're going to see some very cool armor combinations and that coming from a historical point, which is going to be so sick.
I also like the fact that Hidden Helm, we don't see her. She doesn't exist.
Exactly.
I like that.
All right. A character wearing armor takes less action to heal after becoming incapacitated, as described in the healing rules. The reason for this is to support the game as a roleplay game as opposed to a battle game, which is a big distinction there. The outcome is that a player with armor becomes incapacitated just as readily as a player without, but a character with armor is presumed to have been less severely incapacitated and therefore is more readily healed to a combat state. To be clear, wearing armor does not confer additional HP, as we mentioned before.
Yeah, it just makes healing easier.
Exactly. Want to cover this one?
Dying. We've tried everything. Unfortunately, you've reached 0. You're incapacitated. You can't move. You can't fight. You can't use your skills. And there isn't a healer. There's no surgeon nearby. The steps on your injury card were not fixed.
Mm-hmm.
You have died. Even partial healing doesn't prevent death. All steps have to be completed. The surgeon, the patient, or the GM may determine when the patient is beyond hope. A character may also be actively killed while incapacitated. Another character can approach you without hindrance or interruption from another character. Clearly and deliberately state a sentence with the word die, such as, "You fought so long to die like this." A character who dies must immediately drop all tokens, including trade items that they are carrying. A significant number of characters from a given faction dying may have ramifications for subsequent games.
Which is very, very cool. All right, rebirth. Upon death, a GM may assign the player tasks to complete before they may return to play. Generally, a player should expect to spend up to a cycle in this state. While in this state, they do not count towards the amount of food required to feed the settlement. Once these tasks are fulfilled, the player may generate a new character with one less skill than their previous character to a minimum of one skill. These skills do not need to match their previous character, but must align with the heritage social status restrictions for their new character. The new character represents a juvenile who has just come of age stepping into the world. Be sure to bring extra props and costume bits you may have in case your origin needs different skills available to survive, and prosthetics that may be necessary for any appearance changes. The new character receives a new secret personal motivation, regardless of whether they completed the old motivation. Completed motivations mean nothing to dead characters. At the next event, the player may either create a brand new character with full starting skills or continue playing the current character by adding skills up to their full starting skill set.
So what we're hearing is bring more costuming than you think you'll need.
Exactly.
It's better to have 3 extra costumes than not have enough. Skills. This is one of my favorite things about this game. So each origin has access to a fraction of the below skills, and within factions, only certain social classes can get them. There is a table below, which details which skills each origin have access to, and you need to pick wisely as they continue from event to event. So if you pick, I'm character A and I picked healing, guess what? At event 2, you've still got healing. There are free skills. They don't contribute to your skill limit. Personal weapons, so that it says all characters can use a LARP safe dagger. It has to be under 45 centimeters for free. It doesn't count towards your skill limit because your weapons are technically skills.
Exactly.
Because you've trained. I know how to use a gun. That's a skill. So, for example, a character who has a woodworking tool skill can use a LARP safe axe instead of the dagger. The LARP safe weapon must appear to be the tool or item matching the skill. So, a two-headed battle axe, not appropriate. While a wood-cutting axe would be appropriate.
Mhm.
You cannot use LARP weapons as props for non-combat skills except in the manner described above, unless your origin rulebook says otherwise. Then you've got your combat skills. So if you want to be able to use a black powder pistol with 5 band rounds, okay, so there's a limit of 5. You can retrieve them and reuse them after firing and that sort of thing, but you can only carry 5. Black powder weapons are to be created as a historical representation of pre-1600 weapons with a representation of a striking mechanism. So your typical sort of band gun, we want it to look historical, that sort of a thing. They've got the regular sort of rules that you see in most events with the blue or the green exercise tubing, 6mm or greater. It's a responsibility of the player to ensure that the band pistol complies with local laws. Bands must be made such as when held folded in half against the barrel of the band, it's at least a third of the length. This skill will only allow for single-barreled pistols. Black powder long arm, 5 rounds, same as the other one. You can reuse them. Same thing with the historical. This skill only allows for a single-barreled long arm.
Mhm.
If you want to have additional black powder charges, that's a skill. You want to have a one-handed melee weapon up to 120 centimeters long, greater than 45. It's a skill. Two-handed melee, different skill. So you're not going to be the expert fighter necessarily who I can use a melee weapon, I can use two-handed, I can use a bow and arrow. You have to be strategic in what am I going to be able to fight with? Or I'm a pacifist, I can't fight with anything. They're all important things. If you want to have a shield, again, it's a skill. Leather soft steel armor allows the character to wear leather and or soft steel armor as described in the armor entry of the core rulebook. A character with the leather soft steel armor skill cannot be affected by another armor. Yes, I know. Hardened steel armor, you want to be able to wear the hardened steel armor.
Mhm.
Same sort of thing. Bow, the skill you want extra. Oh, okay. So the bow, you only get 5 arrows. If you want more, that's a skill. If you want to be a healer. So this is something I know for me that I would be doing. So if I want surgeon's equipment, then I need to take the surgeon's equipment skill. If I want to have the specialist equipment, that's a level 2 skill. That's fancier. You're going to need that. Resource extraction. So if you want people, you're going to need to talk about with other people in your faction about different things that they're going to do. You want to make sure you've got someone who can generate food, someone who can do farming, trapping, fishing, mining. All these different skills are going to be really important. Miscellaneous skills that you've got your religious paraphernalia. So these are different things that are very important to your particular group. So it might mean that you've just got some candles, you've got your symbols of faith, you've got little containers that have water, salt, herbs, little ritual tools. So you might have, a hand-sized bowl, sounding bells, beads, cords, cloth for burial, that sort of a thing. I think anything specific for the religious paraphernalia will be in your personal guide.
Yeah.
So I would refer to that for what's important for your group because candles might mean absolutely nothing, but incense might be like, that's it. We need to have that. Props must be small, safe, and portable, and they must reflect your declared religion. So do you want to say the religions?
Hmm?
Instead of everything?
Yeah. So I'm gonna butcher this.
This is why I wanted to.
The Orthos Aerialites, the Basori Aquanists, I believe I got that right, and the Brox Triskelion.
And then again, you'll need to go to your origin for more information. Law, knowledge, and language. So that will give you access to a booklet containing information. So that might be something that's really important to your character. They'll have different things about wildlife, codes, languages, whole variety of different information. You might have trade items, so that can help you change your social class or your heritage for the next game. You might be able to gain a better skill or different things like that. So that's really cool.
Mhm,
Animal
mhm.
bones will allow a character to wear fake or ethically sourced animal bones, which could be worn as ornamentation, spiritual totems, clan symbols, cross belts, cuffs, disguises, gaming sets, all different things that might be really important to your character. Hunting trophies, instruments, a ledger. So you get your little book, get a writing implement, quill, pencil, that sort of thing. Origin standard. So you have your flag to represent your group. That
We all
could
love a good flag in
we all
love.
like a good flag. Rope could actually God.
Mhm.
There could be something where you end up you need the rope because you need to cross a gorge and you need to use the ropes, that sort of thing. Rucksack, talk, sewing mending kit. That could be important.
Mhm.
You might need someone who actually is able to fix things. A whole variety of other tasks and things like that. And so then we've got a little chart here. So your personal weapon, so like we discussed, that dagger, everyone gets that no matter who you're from. Now, important. So let's just say you're a Brock, you want a gun. Too bad. You're not allowed to have that. It's not an option. So you'll need to really look at what your origin can
Mhm,
access.
mhm.
So, if you want a bow, Orthos, not a thing. You want to wear armor, not a thing. So, like if you want to wear leather armor, I hope you're a Brock. You want to wear the hardened armor, gotta be a Basori.
It's very cool because it's gonna really add to the
Mm.
immersion of the factions having their own aesthetic and their own cultural identity
Well, like
using
only one
different
group
names
can
and
have
whatnot.
shield. I
Exactly.
mean, that could change your fight instantly, just by
100%.
virtue of the fact that you've got some sort of level of defense that no one
Mhm.
else has.
Mhm.
Healing skills. You want to be a specialist surgeon? Well, if you're Basori, too bad. You're not going to get it. You can only be basic healer,
Mhm.
which is disappointing. Farming. As it turns out, only a couple of the groups can do farming. Same with fishing. Same with trapping. Everyone can mine though, which I mean that
It
makes
makes
sense.
sense,
That
yeah.
makes sense. And then it looks like the miscellaneous skills, at least the law, religious, trade, everybody, which is fair. And then you see the limitations. Okay, you want to have sewing repair kit? You're in luck. Everyone can do that. You want to have a spyglass? Non Orthos Brock can't do that. But I love the fact that you have some limitations on what you can actually play as in the game and like different things that you can bring. So it's like I want to be, if let's say I'm in Orthos, oh well, I can't use a bow and arrow. That's too primitive for me. So I might take the black powdered gun, and then I'll get some specialist surgeon's equipment and that sort of a thing. Now, from memory, there is you get a limit to how many points you can use, which isn't in this book to figure out how many skills that you can
Yeah.
have. Um, from memory, it was something around the lines of 5 or 6,
Yeah.
with each of the different skills having a different value attached to it. So it might be okay. I want to be able to sew, mend things for the group. I want to be a surgeon, and that might mean that I'm tapped out.
Exactly right. So you've really got to think about what you bring with your
Hmm.
character to this LARP event as well, and what sort of position you want to have. As we mentioned earlier, you're not just a, uh, soldier who can also farm, who can also do
Yeah.
this and do that, and bloody bloody blah. You're either a soldier or you are a farmer. You're a
Yeah.
hunter.
Yeah.
You have a specific role in your faction society,
Yeah.
which is going to be absolutely fantastic. I am
Yeah.
really, really excited for this LARP. But that does bring us to the end of the
Mhm.
rulebook. Again, if you want to check it out for yourself, you can go to this link right here and suss it out. It is very, very cool. For those who don't know, this is a Victorian LARP, but come along. visit, do things. It's going to be fun.